Hey, Becoming Me. I am so excited to introduce you to my warrior friend, Sarah. Sarah, welcome to BecomingMe.tv.
Hey, so excited to be here with you.
I'm so excited. And this is so much fun for me because so many of our becoming stories are people that I have met digitally, right? So on Instagram, social media, in this world that we live in. But I've had the privilege of meeting you, as I love to say, in real life. We actually met in
That's true.
Chicago, which is
Very
amazing,
true.
at a coaching group. And it's just been a joy to know you over the years and just learn from you along the way. So I cannot wait to dive into your story. But before we get ahead of ourselves, if someone did not know who you are, like who is Sarah?
Who is Sarah? That feels like a loaded question, Emily. But first off, I would just want to thank you for all you do too. You are such a blessing to so many of us. The encouragement that you bring, the insight and the platform to bring hope and healing to so many people across the world. Really, so thank you for what you do and the tenacity to stay at it and to interview crazy people like me. So, who is Sarah? I'm a mom. I have a 15-year-old. I can't believe he'll be 16 pretty soon. He wants to drive us everywhere, which is kind of nice and kind of not because sometimes I want to go faster than I want him to go. So, yeah. So I have a 15-year-old son, Lincoln. He plays hockey. So I'm a crazy hockey mom. I've got a daughter who's 11. Her name's Lila, and she is sassy and sweet and creative and just an incredible loyal friend. She's just a great girl. I have a husband, so I'm a wife. We've been married 19 years.
Wow.
Um, I'm a dog mom. I have a Bernedoodle that we got during COVID, like everybody else, right?
That's
His name's
awesome.
Gunner, and he is literally I say he's just my therapy dog because like he's my sanity when the world was like imploding. I just would sit there and pet my puppy.
I
So
love
I
it.
really love him. Yeah. He's great. I'm a leader and a friend, and what brings me most joy in life right now is maximizing people's gifts
Mhm.
and their businesses and helping people see who they were created to be
Oh,
and helping make the impossible possible.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I
that's
love that.
that's who I am.
Oh, I love it. And that
Quirky, crazy, all of the above. Creative.
also, I feel like we could add style fashionista to your
Oh,
description there
I
because
don't
I love your style. Like literally
oh,
on your Instagram, I'm always like,
well,
"Oh, what
thank
is she
you.
wearing? What's that nail polish
Oh
color?
my
So cute. I love it."
well, this is called from Walgreens, the instant like, "Hey, I just tore all my acrylics off and I was coming on here with you, so I threw whatever was in the medicine cabinet on." So,
Yes.
go to
I love
Walgreens, you
it.
too can find this color.
Well, I
So,
think you look
I'd like to say
fabulous.
that it's more planned out than that, but it's really not.
Well,
So,
you look
thank you.
amazing. You're welcome. But I would love to just take some time and dive into your story, your journey. Like, what has made you who you are today?
Yeah, that's a great question. As I was preparing for today and thinking through some of these questions that you sent over, you know, growing up, I grew up in a great family. My dad was a music pastor, and I think different than you. Like when you grow
Mhm.
up as a pastor's kid, I still was a pastor's kid, but I think there's like a different allowance for worship pastors' kids. Like they expect you to be a little nutty. And so they were like, all right, she's okay, but you got to still toe the line, but she's a little crazy and that's all right. I don't know why the music part just like gives you that leeway. But grew up as a pastor's kid. My dad also was a music producer. My mom was super talented in music and fashion. Like you said, fashion. She was a hairdresser before we were all born. So she just
Mhm.
always had great fashion. And she has hospitality like spilling out of who she is. She just can't
Mhm.
help but make people feel cared for in every way, and bring beauty to every moment. So I had very loving parents. Grew up in Southern California and grew up in the church. And I think sometimes you grow up in the church and you have great experiences, and it it's a good thing for you. And then sometimes there's some really hard experiences that people have. And I'd say that it wasn't that I didn't have hard experiences, but I had parents who were very real
Mm,
about the church being filled with people who are sinful,
mm.
and
Yeah,
also had so much grace,
yeah.
um, to give. And so because of that combination, the church was a really fun and exciting and caring
Mm,
and incredibly um, loving place for me to grow up and to really learn who I thought I was, and
mm,
give me opportunity to explore my gifts. And it was a safe place for me to bring friends. Like I always brought like friends and invited them junior high and high school. I'm like, come to church with me. So it felt like home.
mm,
And I think that really defined a lot of who I was. Um, my sister, I have a brother who's a year younger than me, Nate, and then a sister who's 8 years younger than me. Her name's Crystal. She's adopted, and so that shaped a lot of who I was too, and
mm,
who our family is. Other things about me: I grew up loving music and
mm,
anything that had to do with singing and theater and all of the things in between. And for a long time thought that's exactly what I would do.
mm,
So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, and a deep desire to want to please God
yeah,
and to want to be in His will.
yeah.
So a big part of my life was dedicated to serving Him and to trying to live out the perfect
Mm,
journey, so to speak.
gotcha.
And uh, in that, there's some beauty, but there was a lot of hardship that I think I brought on myself,
Mm,
because the reality is there isn't a perfect journey.
right.
And He gives you choices
Yeah.
and you get to choose. And so I spent a lot of time looking back now,
Mm,
um, in what I refer to as the messy middle, spinning, and I wish I would have been able to be more present then.
mm,
But in that, I looked for purpose in different vocations. I looked for purpose in relationships. I looked for purpose in motherhood. I looked for purpose in every area I could find. And I was plagued with the desire for perfection.
mm,
Um, yeah. And so trying to, I'd like to say rid myself of that, but um, to silence it would be, to bring the volume down on it would be
yes.
a better word for that. So I've spent a good time of my life doing that. Ultimately, the thing that in the last few years that I've noticed, whether it's through pastoring, I was a creative director for many years. I was a pastor. I was an events coordinator. Lots of different vocations. Worked in corporate America too, so all different kinds of craziness. But my love for people has always stood out the highest, and been the thing that drives me. And so
Yeah.
my story really um, is a journey of recognizing that I'm my best when I'm helping people figure out what they were called
Oh,
to do for their best.
mm, yeah.
And I discounted that a lot because for years I thought, well, that feels like second rate. That's not the person on the stage.
Mm,
That's not the person in the spotlight. And that feels shinier.
mm.
And so recognizing the joy and fulfillment that I get when I see others win,
Yeah.
um, has been a journey. And um, probably next to like my husband and children and immediate family, probably the biggest joy.
Wow. That's powerful. Like, absolutely powerful, and I love how you unpacked that too, and just your journey in discovering who you are and what brings you the most joy. I wanna follow up with before I ask this question, I have to know, are you a coffee drinker?
Oh yeah,
Okay, how do you drink your
totally.
coffee?
So today, I had a cold brew with salted caramel
Ooh,
cold foam on top.
that sounds delicious. Like,
It is. So if I'm going to order something, I like that or skinny vanilla lattes just because I can have a
ooh,
larger size with less sugar. Um, but at home, I will just I usually get flavored coffee, just black.
ooh, mm, yes, that's how I drink it at home too. What's your favorite
Yeah.
flavored black coffee right now?
It's called like mocha. I don't it's like almond mocha something.
Ooh,
It
that
likes
sounds good.
it tastes like a Mars bar.
Ooh, ooh, that sounds
I
amazing.
know. It's really yeah, it's really good. I really like it.
I found this chocolate
Or
chip
no, that wouldn't
pancake
be Mars
flavor.
bar. I don't even know my candy. Oh my gosh. Not a Mars bar. That would be almond joy. It tastes like an almond
Oh,
joy.
ooh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds amazing. That
I
sounds
don't even know if
really
I've
good.
ever had a Mars bar. I don't even know where that came from. Yeah,
Now we're gonna
almond
have to
joy.
find out what that is and try it
I
for
know. I
sure.
know.
Okay,
So
so if you
funny.
were like having your favorite cup of coffee with someone else and you're just chatting, you're hearing about their journey, what would you say to encourage them to be who God made them to be? And I love this question because it really is stemming from even what brings you the most joy, right? So this is obviously gonna be a fun conversation, but what would you say to encourage them?
Yeah, first I would tell them that they were beautifully and wonderfully made. Whether they believe it or not, that
Yeah.
they were beautifully and wonderfully made, that there is a specific purpose for their life.
Hmm.
Um, and I would tell them I'm sorry
Hmm.
that for many of them, that was the first time they were hearing that.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah, I, I would um, I would tell them to become a student of themselves
Mm,
first
yeah,
and foremost. I would tell them the importance of understanding and owning and living out of their core values.
yeah.
Um, if those that are listening don't know what that is, I would be happy to help you understand that. But I do have a free quiz on my website that you can go to
Ooh,
and take. I love quizzes, finding out about stuff, but
so
it's
much
a
fun.
core values quiz to help figure out what some
Okay,
of those are. So
that's
you can go
awesome.
to saraemerson.com and take that. I would tell you to figure that out. I would tell you to take risks and
Mm,
keep moving.
yeah.
There's a in hockey, which this is going to sound like I understand a lot of it, which my husband and son would tell you that I don't understand as much as I like to pretend I do.
It's okay.
But they tell you to keep moving, right?
Mm,
That you, when you don't have the puck, you still have to keep skating at all times.
ooh,
That
yeah.
you shouldn't ever stop.
Mhm,
And the reason for that is because your ability to pivot or to make a play or to be ready for when something comes is so much greater when you're moving. But if you
wow.
stop, the odds, the energy that it takes to get started again, or the opportunity for you to miss something
Yeah.
is there. So I tell you to keep moving, and then I'd say stay curious and just make a choice.
Ooh, that's good. And what do you mean by like unpack that for me a little bit more?
I think such one of the things that is the biggest contributor to people getting stuck in life. I mean, sometimes it's trauma or tough
Right.
life situations that were unforeseen, things like that. But one of the things that I deal with often with clients and friends and people that I'm talking with is not that they don't have choices.
Hmm.
It's usually that there's so many choices that they are plagued with indecision.
Yeah.
And I resonate with that. Like I told you, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I always will be. And you want to make the right choice. But at
Hmm.
some point, the indecision is a choice.
Right.
You're
Right.
choosing to spin. And when you choose to spin, it takes your energy both physically and mentally. Um, and it's like what I like to call like especially in leadership when I'm working with teams and stuff. Like, have you ever had vertigo?
I personally have not, but I have friends who
No,
have.
you've heard of it. Yeah. So I like to call it leadership vertigo. It's when you're moving,
Okay.
like, or when you think you're moving, but you're actually not. So indecision is like people think like,
Yeah.
oh,
Ooh.
I'm just going to research it more. I'm going to figure it out. And so you think that you're actually
Mm. Yeah.
gaining traction or taking some ground. But the reality is you're just staying in the same place spinning and you just need to choose. So
Wow.
I think people don't understand that, like, hey, guess what? You get another choice. It's not like it's three
Yeah.
strikes and you're out. You can choose again. And so helping people to understand that
Mm.
there's not a wrong way to stop putting things in right
Yeah.
and wrong categories, but that it's all learning.
Yep. That's good. That's really powerful and so helpful for, I mean, we all get to points and places and seasons in our becoming journey where we can feel stuck. And I love the power that you just shared, like just make a decision. And you also shared a couple minutes ago too that you could come alongside and help us discover some things. And I know you're a coach. So tell me a little bit about your coaching and then how people can even connect with you.
Yeah, like I said, with my journey, in all of the areas um, that I have been a part of, helping people discover um, who it is they were created to be at their core, and not apologize for it, um, not feel shame about it, but to own their uniqueness, and then to figure out how to live out of the fullness of that and maximize it so that they
Mhm.
can actually really love their life,
Oh, yeah.
is what I love to do. So I get to do that in many different ways. I work with teams and organizations to help their individuals, and then I do one-on-one individual
Awesome.
coaching. And so with my clients, helping them create a path and a plan that is designed for them. Often it's helping them to recognize what the dream is that they
Mm.
really have,
Yeah.
how to own that, and then how to strategize and make that which felt impossible possible,
That's
and
cool.
then hold them to it. Like, I think a lot of what happens in life is we have, I mean, this is actually why New Year's resolutions are usually gone by January 17th. I think that they say that, like, people
Yeah,
make it like 2 weeks and 2 days and then
exactly.
they're done. But the accountability part
Yeah.
is so important, because when we're only accountable to ourselves, you're only going to go so far. And
Oh,
in
yeah.
fact, it's really interesting, even in leadership, or I mean, there's so many things you can learn online now and buy trainings. The reality is, you can get a training or go through a training, and statistically, you're 24%, you have a 24% increase in your outcome when you go through a training.
Wow.
But what I started experiencing personally in my own life and then seeing with my clients, statistically, when you have coaching
Mhm.
consistently, there's an 88% increase
I believe that. Yeah.
in your results. And so when I was seeing that in my own life and then seeing the encouragement and the hope that it was bringing to others, I was like, this is a no brainer. This is what I'm called to do in this season. So, yeah,
I
I get
love
to do
that.
that with people. And um, each each time that I get to do it, it's an honor, and it is so exciting because each person brings a myriad of different hopes and dreams
Yeah.
and things to work through, and helping people through the messy middle of life, whether
Mhm.
it's in their business, in their own personal life, with their relationships, um, with their creativity, with a project, helping them understand that when you're so close to the details, that
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
tough
yeah.
to gain traction, but that there's another perspective, and that they have the answers within them.
Yeah.
They just need a place to work it out.
Yep. Oh, that's so valuable, and you're so right. Like, I firmly believe in the power of coaching. You need to have that perspective. You're so right. If somebody was like, "That sounds amazing. I need to connect with Sarah. I wanna learn more about this, and or I wanna take the quiz she was talking about." Where can people connect with you online?
Yeah, I'm on all the socials. Emerson is spelled with 2 M's and Sarah doesn't have an H. So it's SaraEmmerson. And then you can just go to saraemerson.com. So any of
Easy.
those is great. But Emily, I know we're here to interview me because you called and asked me to, but am I allowed to ask you a couple
Yes,
questions?
bring it. I would
Okay,
love that.
great.
Let's go.
Well, I know you have some great projects coming, and things going on with you too, that I'd love to hear more about personally. But I know for you, you've been a part of coaching circles and
Yeah.
different coaching experiences.
Mhm.
How has coaching
Yep.
helped you in your life?
Oh my goodness. I think what you shared at the end of why you coach really resonates with me. So I can get so into the details, so into what's happening in whatever chapter of my becoming journey it is, that it's hard for me to see how to get unstuck. And I love what you shared about the answer is already within. So every time I've worked with a coach, she's really helping me discover what I knew all along, but giving me the courage to take that step and then holding me accountable to it, just like you
Yeah,
outlined. And so, when we met, I was a part of a women's leadership coaching group with Jenny Catron of the Foresight Group. And that was
yeah,
so valuable for me with my role in church here at BecomingMe.tv, just how to be the best leader that I can be. And Jenny really helped bring out leadership capabilities that were already within me. Now I work with an Enneagram coach, Jackie Brewster, and she's helping me
yeah.
discover like how I'm wired, why I would just naturally react the way that I do, and how to just pause and think through, why I do what I do, but how to grow through it and not just stay in a continual pattern. So for me, every time coaching helps me with being a student of myself, like you challenged and encouraged all of us to be, and then how to take those steps on my becoming journey. And I think there's so much value in having someone else see things within you and then help draw them out.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you are, and I think for me, often a lot of the people that I work with are creative professionals. And so that's inside the church, outside the church, around the world, teams of people. But I love that you're a creative that can't help but do all of the things. T-
All the
I
things.
mean, but in such a beautiful way. Tell me, how have you found that freedom to be able to do that?
Yeah, I think for me, it goes back to in the summer of 2016, I found myself, and I love your terminology, the messy middle, right? So I was in my own messy middle chapter. I had transitioned out of a job. I was trying to be an entrepreneur. I didn't quite know what I wanted to do professionally at that moment. And I felt stuck. I was in a messy middle. And it was right there that I just started to feel like I don't know how I can do all the things or all the dreams. So in that, I just started feeling like I don't know who I want to be right now. So I was having a conversation with my parents, and my dad looked me in the eyes and was just like, Emily, you know who you want to be. You just have to choose to be her. And it was like a light bulb for me. Like in that
Hmm.
moment, I was like, oh my goodness, you're so right. Like I do know. I just need to make the decision to choose to be me, and I
Yeah.
can pursue every dream. And I mean that it's all in balance, right? I'm not going to run after every single thing at the exact same time. So it's a give and a take and it's a balance. But when I wake up every day choosing to be Emily and pursue giving my best, being the best version of me in that day, I can do it all because I'm doing what's in front of me in that day.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And it's what you at the core were created to do.
exactly. So you're living out of this overflow of yourself and what's inside you all along. You're not trying to make
Exactly.
something happen, you're being yourself.
One of my favorite verses is Romans 15:13, and it says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow by the power of the Holy
Mm.
Spirit." And for me, that as someone that's a doer, like give me a great to-do list, let me check it off. I feel super accomplished.
Oh, yeah.
Um, the the thought of overflowing because I just had to trust was like mind blowing to me. And the thought that I could be filled with joy and peace, but by just trusting, um, it's taken me years, literally, to work through that verse in how that plays out in my heart and spirit. But I see that happening in people's lives now. I see people understanding who they are on a core level and living that out in such a beautiful way that it's filling them with a peace that they didn't know was
Yeah.
possible, with a joy of loving life. And then it's contagious
Mhm.
because when they start to recognize that it's possible, then they start to take more risks. They
Yeah.
start to live into who they are even in a
Yes.
greater way, and then everyone around them starts responding to them as
Mm.
as though they have always wanted them to respond in that way, and now they're just recognizing it, and they're like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, I didn't know this was possible. And so I love that you get to do it all,
Mhm.
that you haven't limited yourself, and that I think each of us that have heard your podcast and that have experienced you are so grateful that you didn't limit yourself, because your impact on so many people is deep and wide. And
Mhm.
had you have limited yourself, had you have not said that day, I do know
Right.
who I want to be,
Yeah.
we would not be benefiting. And so I just am so grateful for the platform that you have and the way that you are living into who God's created you to be.
Well, I'm grateful for you and like thank you for just asking those questions. That's so much fun for me to just share little parts of my becoming story as
Yeah.
well. And thank you for encouraging me over the years. You really are a treasure, you're a gift, and I love watching how you just bring joy to other people by bringing out what's already in them, who they were made to be. So, and for all of you watching, we will have all the links to connect with Sarah in the show notes. So you can easily click the link, connect, take the quiz, discover your values. You're amazing. So thank you for sharing your story and your journey, who you are. I'm cheering you on big time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thanks.